what's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us today. So we've got some fun stuff planned for the next 20 or so minutes here. One of the things that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to talk a little bit about CDR, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into what we call our 20-minute challenge. My name is Victor Verba. I've been with Variphy for a few years now. Been in the data game for way too long, and below me is my cohort, Edgar. Edgar, you want to say a little bit about yourself there, buddy?
Yeah, of course. But first, I didn't get to take a shot, so I will open up a beer. Just a quick sip for Tom and Annie. Oh, that's delicious. It's hot out here. But hi, everyone. I am Edgar Salazar. I've been part of the Variphy family for close to 6 years now. I started in a tech team, and after about a year, I moved into a solutions engineering role. As of this past January, I am now part of the sales team, serving you as an account manager. I'm super excited to be here today. Thanks for joining us.
So, Edgar, being kind of a little bit on both the account management side now, as well as, formerly being part of the systems engineering team, tell me a little bit about some of the things that people come to you for, when they approach you looking into a solution like Variphy. What are some of the things or the struggles that you're hearing that they come to you with?
Yeah, of course. So many of our customers come to Variphy looking for a reliable and easy-to-use reporting system. The native CUCM reporting solution is quite limited, and it's not very easy to use. There are many solutions in the market, but some are too clunky and difficult to manage and usually provide inaccurate data. At Variphy, we've truly built a framework that allows all of our end users to build most, if not all, of the reports they need. Vic, maybe you could show us a little bit about what we could do with CDR?
Sure, absolutely. So, the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do, Edgar, is let me go ahead and just bring up something, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because this is kind of what we're going to get from Cisco. So, Edgar, tell me a little bit about what we got here. Can you run a report out of that for me?
Is that CDR? CDR,
that
right?
is
That's
CDR.
ugly stuff.
Yeah,
that gives me nightmares sometimes.
It's a little messy. So this is kind of what you're going to be pulling out of Cisco to try to run a report. And this is what we hear from a lot of our customers using, an existing Cisco CDR tool. But you know what? Let me fix this for you, Edgar, and I'm going to simplify it, okay? Let me go ahead and put it in Excel. How's that, Edgar? Does that make it easier to run a report?
It's a little better, but still, I don't like looking at that. It's too much.
All right. So with that in mind, this is why customers are coming to us. They're using things like Cisco CAR or the Cisco reporting tool to try to pull extremely complex information. So just looking at this is a CDR file. This is not cut and dry. There's absolutely nothing simple about this. And I think this is a little bit older of a version call manager. But I want to say there's about 130 columns in this record alone, and I almost want to say they might be up to like 136 or right around there with more current versions of Call Manager. So there's nothing about this that is simple. So when customers come to us and they tell us they're using CAR, they're telling us they're using other solutions out there, they're looking at data. It may not be the most accurate thing in the world. I get involved with a lot of proof of concepts. So I'm familiar with that format that we just showed, and I don't like it. It's ugly. Nobody's going to be able to pick out a report out of that, for lack of a better word, I'm sorry, Cisco, garbage. It's just a bunch of lines of information. One piece or one part of those lines does not even necessarily equal a call in general. So one of the first things I always show customers is hunt group reporting. A lot of customers struggle with hunt group reporting, but this isn't necessarily just hunt groups. Could be departments. It could be device pools. One of the benefits of having an application like Variphy is you never have to worry about your departments or your device pools or your first names or your last names or all of that information that's in Call Manager but not in CDR. When I pull up a file that looks like this, and there's nothing in here that's pretty or makes it easy to associate, Edgar to a phone call or a management department. The reason being is because that information is not actually in the CDR. So like Lane was saying earlier, one of the benefits of having a system like Variphy is we actually just go out to your Call Manager and pull information. So very quickly what I did is I just ran a report for a hunt group. So all of that information that I just showed is readily available and at your fingertips. You'll notice in this report that I'm about to go ahead and kick off of, I'm toggling on something that's called Cradle to Grave. Now, the thing about Cradle to Grave is we take all of this for you and we put it into a report that is going to be legible, it's going to be readable, it's going to be sequential, and it's going to take things like this, where this call right here may be associated to this call right here. That's associated to this call right here. That's associated to this call down here. Well, the benefit of a product like Variphy is very simply, all I did was run a report, toggle on what's called Cradle to Grave. I have my first names, I have my last names, and I was able to generate a report that looks like this. Now, all these fields that we're looking at here are user definable. So I get to decide what I want to see. If I want to see first names and last names, if I want to see MAC addresses of phones and things like that. With Variphy, you have complete control on what you want to see. But with Cradle to Grave, which is what I toggled on right here, what you're going to notice is that very simply, I took this and I made it this. So you'll notice when I first did my search, I just searched for this guy. That's all I searched for. But by toggling on Cradle to Grave, I actually see what it took for my customer to get to this guy. So I get to see that they went into a call center, or they went into a Unity system. And then from there, they transferred out into a call center. From the call center, I can see that they spoke with Kathy over here for 43 seconds. Kathy then took that call and transferred it into a hunt group. And from the hunt group, I could see that it then got fielded over here by Lindsay, who spoke with this end user for 1 minute and 52 seconds. So very quickly and very easily, we were able to actually just search a single character or a single number, be it maybe a phone number or an extension, or in this case, a hunt group, and pull up sequentially everything that's happening with that. So calls coming into hunt groups and then maybe being transferred back out into UCCX agents. All of that information is at your fingertips with Variphy, and we make it very easy to be able to do that. All I did was toggle on something like Cradle to Grave and go from this to something like this. Now, this looks like it could be a complex system and a very complex implementation. Anybody that's familiar with Variphy, as well as some of our other sessions, knows that the nice thing about Variphy is we are virtually a no maintenance solution. In other words, to be able to pull all of that information, I had to do very little within Variphy to be able to see first names, last names, departments, device pools if I want to add those. So one of the things that we're going to go ahead and do here, Edgar, is we've got a little bit of a challenge. And we're going to make this as fun as possible because that's what people are here for. Nobody wants to sit there and watch me go through this for the next 30 minutes and explain. So everybody that's looking at our screen right now is going to notice my buddy Edgar, he's got something above his head back there. So what that is we're going to call that our Variphy beer bong. What do you think about that, Edgar?
I'm excited. Tell me more.
All right. So what we can do is we've got here what we call our 20-minute challenge at Variphy. That means that we will have a installation done complete within 20 minutes. Now, there's a couple prerequisites that are pretty basic, like you have to have the OVA stood up, or you have to have a functioning system out there somewhere that we can communicate with. It has to have an IP address and things like that. So that way we can talk to it and actually set up the Variphy system. So for our 20-minute challenge, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and complete an implementation for everybody. And if I can't do it within 20 minutes,
Edgar's
that bucket above Edgar's head, he's going to get wet.
No?
So, Edgar, how confident are you in my abilities to install that Variphy system in 20 minutes?
Well, Vic, let me be honest with you. I've known you for, 15 years about? And
Sounds
I have
right,
very little faith in you. I'm kidding. I trust you. Let's see how this goes. Let's give it a try and see how it goes.
I thought I would change it up just a little bit. And I know maybe you don't want me to, but we're going to do it anyway because I'm the one driving on the screen. So rather than just setting up the Variphy application, what I'm going to do is I've got an OVA set up. I've done nothing to that OVA. We're going to go ahead and actually set up the OVA, set up the call manager, set up Variphy, and we're going to do all of that within 20 minutes.
So we're going to run through the entire installation?
We're going to run through the entire installation.
Oh, you're changing things on me. Okay,
I did.
Okay,
I decided that, you know what? I thought the 20-minute challenge would be a little bit too straightforward, so we're going to go ahead and make it a little bit more complicated here. So
fair enough.
All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this ball rolling. I'm going to ask my producer, Dre. Dre, let's go ahead and start that clock. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I need to get into my my ESXi here. So I did do one prerequisite. I actually put the OVA on here because if I didn't, we'd be sitting here for another 10 or 15 minutes waiting for the OVA to just load. I'm going through a VPN. You know, it doesn't go that well sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to log right into our host here, and you're going to notice that I've got a Variphy OVA there. It is not stood up. It is sitting there waiting to be configured. So I created this guy called Variphy Rocks, pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop right into the console here, and I'm going to open up our remote console. All right. So all I'm doing is just going into an OVA that is deployed. There's no configurations, no settings or anything of that nature in here. It's basically just sitting there ready for us to get going. So here we are, and it is waiting for the console to attach. Geez, sometimes this takes so long, Edgar. Usually, I don't know, buddy. You think we're going to make it?
I'm sweating a little bit.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll be fine. All right, Edgar, you got those IP addresses for me?
I do. 1.1.1.1.
All right, I thought I would throw that at you. So, all right, let's go ahead and keep going. So this is the screen you're going to see when you open up the OVA console. This is a brand new implementation here. I'm just going to go ahead and click enter to yes. We're going to set up an OVA. Now, first thing we got to do is read the license agreement. All right, so Edgar, I know this is going to take us a little time because there's a lot of licensing, but I was planning on reading this out loud to everybody.
How about we just skip? If you hit tab, I think you can skip to I accept the agreement.
Yeah, you don't want me to read it to you?
I've read it multiple times already.
All right, buddy.
We can skip over it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and skip over it. So let's go ahead, and the next thing it's going to ask is what is our host name? So let's go ahead and plug in a host name here, and we're going to go ahead and
Victor, hurry up. That's a good host name. Victor, hurry up.
Is that a good host name? How about we just call this guy Duncan?
Duncan, I like it.
So there we go. We're going to just give this guy a quick name called Duncan. And then we're going to go ahead and say, yes, we want to update our host. Next thing it's going to do is it's going to ask us what time zone that we want. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go scroll down to the US here. All right. And I am in the central time zone. So we're just going to go ahead and continue with central. All right. Is our time zone correct? I am in the central time zone. We're going to stick with this server in the central time zone. I'm going to go ahead and click yes. If I was in Pacific or Eastern, or maybe I'm in Central and the server's somewhere in Pacific, I can go ahead and keep that there. The purpose of this guy is really to kind of keep things in sync, like purges, reports, so that way the server knows what time to go ahead and keep things running. So next thing we're going to do is it's going to ask us for our NTP server. Anything you have in here, if you have a local NTP server, you could go ahead and plug that guy in. If you wanted to use ntp.org, you could go ahead and plug in something like that as long as you have connection to the outside world. In our case, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in 8.8.8.8.8. Here we go. Number lock. There we are. All right, and we are going here. So let me go ahead and click OK there, and it's going to say, hey, do we want to update our NTP server? We most certainly do. Would you like to make some network changes? We most certainly would. We need to give this guy an IP address. One of the nice things about Variphy is we are going to try to find an open IP address, but you're probably going to have to change. You probably have got something worked out with your network folks where there's a certain IP address. In my case, we're actually going to use 181s here. So this guy came up with an open IP address that is our IP address. Next thing you'll notice is /24 at the end. So we're not asking for your subnet incomplete. You don't have to come in here and key the 255, 255, 255.0. We're just going to use the CIDR, and we do have a 255.0, so we're going to stick with 24. And it's going to ask us for our gateway. And again, we'd like to try to auto assume as much as possible. If your gateway is different, you just change it, but ours is the .30.1. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do is ask for a DNS server. In our case, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the 1.1. And like I said, we try to make the best guess possible. So we'll go ahead and keep our 30.18 in here and click OK. And that's it. So Variphy right now.
I win.
No. What's that, Edgar?
Oh, did I win? Are we done?
No.
I thought we were done.
We're still going, buddy. We're still going. So basically what we've done at this point is we configured the Variphy virtual appliance. Really nothing else we need to do. We just need to give this guy an IP address, and we, for the most part, never have to come back in here. But there's a couple more steps, so you're not out of the water yet. Let's go ahead and now we're going to go ahead and complete our Verify implementation. So let's see. Should we go ahead and adjust the call manager, or should we go ahead and adjust Verify first, Edgar? What do you think? Where should we start?
The call manager.
All right, buddy. All right. I think you're getting nervous. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead. I'm going to pop into our call manager over here, and I am going to a version 12 call manager, 12.5 call manager, and I'm going to go ahead and log into this guy. And we do want to log into as an administrator because we are going to have to go ahead and create a couple roles here. All right, so first thing first, I'm getting logged into my call manager over here, and essentially what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and check some system settings. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that CDR is turned on. So I'm going to go over to service parameters here and pop right into our publisher. Now, if you have subs, there is a setting that you're going to want to check on your subs also, and I'll talk about that in a second. So there I am. I'm choosing my publisher. I'm going to go to my call manager, and this is going to bring up a series of settings here. So from here, I want to make sure that CDR enabled is true. This is the guy that's actually going to go ahead and send the CDR and allow the CDR to be generated. Now, this is not an enterprise-wide parameter. So if you do have subs, you're also going to want to repeat this process with your subs to make sure that your subs are sending CDR as well. Another important feature that I always urge people to turn on is to log CDR with 0 duration. Reason being is part of Verify, like we just showed, has the ability to do cradle to grave. Well, that cradle to grave doesn't get magically put together. There's a lot of pieces within different CDR sets that we use to try to match cradle to grave. Some of those are 0 duration calls. So things like auto reroutes from hunt groups or route points, a lot of those will come over with 0 duration, but we need these to be able to formulate the CDR. So definitely want to turn on 0 duration call flags. Next thing we want to be able to do is we want to go down to our call diagnostics here. So we're going to enable call diagnostics when CDR is true, but we also want to flip these two guys to true. Reason being, and why these two are important, and a lot of these are off on call manager, is if you're using things like hunt groups, this is going to access to really allow us to see the extensions answering those hunt group calls and not just reiterate the hunt group. So we'll still be able to show, end user first names and last names, but it's always nice to be able to see the extension that those calls are being answered on. So we want those guys to be true as well. Now these guys right here, you're going to notice are cluster-wide parameters. So once we set this once here, you don't have to worry about this on your subs. The only one you have to worry about on your subs are these two guys here. All right. So let's go ahead and get that saved. Now, the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to actually set up the call manager. So we're going to get ready to blast out some data to this guy. So I'm going to pop over to user management screen. So from here, I'm going to go over to my access control group, and we're going to create an access control group that's got a series of about 7 roles. So first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click add new, and we're going to go ahead and create a Verify group. All right, pretty straightforward so far. And I think we're doing pretty good on time here, Edgar. You still feeling confident?
Yes. Confident.
All right.
Very confident.
All right, buddy. So now that we have our group created, now we need to give it some roles. So I'm just going to pop over to assign role to access group. And we're going to give this guy some roles here. So we need to give this guy, like I said, a series of about 7 roles. So once this guy loads up, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what those are. All right. So now all of these roles are not necessary just for CDR. There are a series of about 3 roles that are required for CDR. But the reason I'm adding these is a lot of times we do proof of concepts. So being able to get all of this information in does require the roles, and that's going to give you things like the ability to do remote phone control or macros and really kind of test out some of those features. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add standard Axle API access. Next thing we're going to do is standard CUCM admin users. And then from there, we're going to go down to our CTI options. We want to have standard CTI, allow control of all devices, transfers, and rollovers. Next thing we're going to do is standard CTI enabled. And like I said, if you're doing just CDR, we need to be able to have just a few of those roles, and everything that I'm doing here is documented in our knowledge base. So step by step, all of these are in our knowledge base. All right, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is this very important piece because we need this guy, standard serviceability read only. That's Cisco Call Manager serviceability right here. And once we add that, and we are good. So we can take a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and those are all of our roles there. So now that we've got that created, the next piece we're going to go ahead and do is create our application user. Pretty straightforward. This is the guy that our Variphy instance is going to go ahead and utilize to talk to your call manager. So all I'm doing is clicking adding new. I'm going to go ahead and click verify admin here. We're going to give this guy a name. We're going to give this guy a password. And all right, and there we go. So now we've got that. We've got our time. And let's go ahead and add our access control group. Now, again, this is the guy we just created. This is going to go ahead and allow Variphy to communicate with your call manager. And that's going to allow us to pull things like first names, last names, and everything in between. All right, so if I scroll down here, we're going to be able to see that we've got our Variphy group. That was the one that we just created. All right, so I think we've got everything covered here. I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. Edgar, how's the weather out there, buddy?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a little hot, though.
Is it?
I think we're down to less than 10 minutes, so maybe keep going.
All right. Yeah. Don't worry, man.
I really
we're good.
I really like my shirt. I don't want to ruin it.
I think we'll be okay. So now that we've got the user created, it's pretty straightforward. For the most part, all we have to do right now is set up Variphy, and that's really just kind of plugging in these credentials. I do want to go ahead and do one more thing, though. So because a lot of times we go into proof of concepts, which give you access to all of our tools, I'm going to go ahead and add some device association in here. So for our remote phone control piece, that gives us the ability to remotely control any hard phone. But in order to do that, our application user here has to know who is allowed to control those phones. So you'll notice I came in here, I just punched in begins with SEP, and that's going to bring up all of my hard phones. You can see I only have about 30 of them here. So I'm going to go ahead and check mark these guys, and we're going to add that right into our application user here. So now what you're going to see on the back end is our Variphy admin user. We're going to go back to users. And there we are, Variphy admin, and you're going to notice that we have all those hard phone devices right here.
For customers that are interested in CDR only, they don't need to select every phone, right? This is only for the remote phone control piece?
You're absolutely right. So let me go ahead and if you go to verify.com, and this is for anybody out there or anybody thinking about becoming a Variphy customer, if you go head over to our support section over here, you're going to notice that we have our user guides. We also have our knowledge base and things like that. This is also where you're going to go to be able to get to webinars. But from our general start, we have some, general configuration. So here's your quick start guides. Here's CUCM prerequisites. Now, these are all the things that I just covered. So you're absolutely right. When you're talking about just CDR, we only need about 3 of those roles. And those are documented in here when you're going through our quick start guide. And we even got just guides on how to go ahead and deploy the OVA. So everything that I've kind of covered at this point in time is completely documented on our knowledge base. But you're absolutely right, Edgar. Just a few of those roles will cover it if you're just interested in CDR. But like I said, I do urge everybody, if you're going through a proof of concept, take advantage of all the tools. The new DID management and things like that have really taken on. If you have a CCX, why not see what we can bring to the table from your UCCX reporting platform? All right. So now that we've got the user created here, let's go ahead and save this guy, and let's pop over to Variphy. So if you remember back in the very beginning when I was configuring that system, Edgar, do you remember what that IP address was?
1.1.1.1?
No.
Okay.
So I'm going to pop over to 10.20.30.181, and I'm going to use :8080 to get over to the Variphy server. Now, it should come up, and it did. You are a lucky man today, Edgar. All right. So there we are. We are going ahead, and the first thing we're going to do is we need to update our license key. So I'm just going to click on Update License Key, and I'm going to choose a file. So for this, I'm just going to pop over to my desktop here, and I know I've got some webinars folders, and we'll go into Block Party Day 1, and I've got a license key ready to go right here. So very simple to go ahead and get this guy loaded up. going to plug in our handy dandy login and password. Again, all documented in the knowledge base walkthrough. So now my license key has been updated. Let's go ahead and log into Variphy.
And we're done. I win.
No, not yet. I think we still got. But don't worry, man. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure that I can get this done. Pretty sure. So Variphy is loading up. First thing it's going to do is it's going to come over here, and let's go ahead and we're going to pop right into our call manager section here, and we're going to go ahead and create a cluster. So let's go ahead and get this done, and we should have cluster 1 in here already. By default, it's going to come out of the box with some information. To keep this interesting, Edgar, I'm going to delete this guy, and we're going to start all over again. I know that clock is ticking, and I know you're getting a little bit nervous, but I still think I can make it.
I think it's down to less than 4 minutes, so come on.
All right, we're going to call this guy Getting Soaked. That's going to be the name of our cluster. And then from here, we need to go ahead and pick our IP address of our cluster. This is just your call manager. Now, if you remember when we were doing our application user, we created that Variphy admin user. All right, and we also gave it a password. This is the application user that we created on that previous step. All right, and I think we're doing pretty good so far. I think we're doing, oh, my passwords don't match. See if I can get that.
What was the password? Was it Victor, hurry up? With the V up again?
You know what? Did you want me to change it to that? I could go back into call manager.
This is fine.
Oh,
no,
just keep going?
Yeah,
okay,
think,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, now we've got our password in there. We've got our time zone in there. If you needed to change your time zone, we absolutely could. In this case, we can go to U.S. Central. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it U.S. You know what? Maybe I'll go to Chicago. I know it's up here somewhere in the Americans, so we'll go ahead.
U.S. Central probably works. Yeah,
you think so?
I think so. Yeah,
but I'm in Chicago. I prefer to see my own. I prefer to see my own. So next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and keep the cluster here at our standard default. When you first come into this system, you're not going to have to set this. This is going to be all set and really pre-configured for everything you're going to need. Next thing you're going to have here is we've got our cluster. We've got the OVA stood up. The OVA comes pre-packaged with everything we need. So really all we have to do is give this guy a name of a database here. So I think when we originally stood up our OVA, we said that it was, the name of the OVA was Duncan. So we're going to just name our database Duncan Edgar.
Clever.
So there we go. So we've got that ready to go. We've got our database, and from here you can set some purge information. So how long do we want to be able to store the data? 0 months, 1 month, 48 months, whatever the case may be. In this case, we're going through an OVA, proof of concept. I'm going to just trim this down to, 1 month worth of data. So out of the box, this guy's going to come with, just some standard implementation. The size will be a little bit smaller, but the nice thing about this system is, we are completely flexible. If you want to expand your storage, expand your RAM, if you want to go from storing 1 month to storing 5 years, it's very easy to do from the OVA perspective, as well as from Variphy. There's really nothing more we need to do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a save. And here we go.
And we're done.
So no, not yet. So there's really only one thing I have to do. One, I got to activate this guy. So what this is going to do now is it's going to go out and it's going to go back to the OVA and say, hey, there is no database named Duncan Edgar. Do you want to create that database? I'm going to say yes. Yes, I want to create that database. So it's going to go through. It's going to do everything it's on its own. It's going to look at the OVA. It's going to say, hey, here's your database. And man, we are just about done, Edgar. So now that we've got the database there, we've got Variphy, he's already going and looking for CDR. So he's ready to go. We're ready to almost start running reports, but there's one more thing we've got to do, Edgar.
You're going to have to hurry up. The producer's sending us 1 minute, so please hurry.
That's it, 1 minute? So, whoa, man, yeah. I'm pretty sure I could still do it. Maybe. All right, maybe not. All right. So the only thing left to do, Edgar, is really we just need to set up the billing server. So all I do for that is pop into my call manager. I go to Cisco Unified Serviceability. And then all I'm going to do is set up what's called the billing server. Now, a lot of people come to me and be like, we don't want to do billing. Why do I have to set up a billing server? It's not actually for billing. It's just a naming convention. So I pop over to CDR management over here, and I click Add New. So from there, all I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the login and password.
Oh, no. Hurry, Vic.
And then I'm going to put in that cluster. And there it is. And that's that cluster. So as soon as I hit this add button, the system is done. The implementation is complete. There's really nothing more I would need to do from an implementation. Uh-oh.
What are you waiting for? Click the button.
What? Just click the button?
Yeah, just click that. Yeah, that one.
This one?
One click. Yes, that one.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
is it working? No?
Doesn't seem like it. Try it again. Double click.
Oh, there we go. Okay, all right.
There we go. I win.
From that perspective, we are almost done. There's one more thing that we would have to do, Edgar, to make sure that we completed an implementation. Edgar, are you still there, buddy?
I think I'm losing you. Vic?
Edgar?
Can you hear me, Vic?
Edgar, I still have to run reports, Edgar.
Vic, I think I lost you.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
Edgar. So, last but not least, we are making this as fun as we can. So there's a lot of banter, a lot of talking back and forth. Long and short of it is we really wanted to get Edgar covered in beer, and that was really the whole goal. Besides being able to show how easy this is of an implementation, we can roll through this whole thing in about 10, 15 minutes, but that's it. From that point, you've got a full implementation. You have reportability. You have the ability to see your first names and last name, run reports on device pools and things like that. And that's it from an implementation perspective. So, hey, I really appreciate Edgar being a great sport. And I thought we could have done this, buddy. I thought we could have done it.
It's all right. Maybe next time. Hey, but quick question for you. So everything looked very easy. What happens if one of our customers or prospects gets stuck in the process?
Sure.
Their support, right? We support these evaluations.
Absolutely, 100%. Every evaluation that somebody goes through is going to come with an SE. So you will have a systems engineer dedicated for you to be able to help you build reports, help you go through an implementation, do any kind of upgrades, and walk you through the process. So you never have to worry about, am I being supported? Who do I need to reach out to? You've got an AM and an SE dedicated to your system throughout the entire proof of concept.
Fantastic. And if anything goes wrong, we're going to be posting Victor's cell phone number down here. Producer, can we do that? Post his cell phone at any time. Day or night.
Call forward.
Well, sir, I am a man of my word. I like this Shiner, though. It's one of my favorite beers, so I'm going to take a little sip. And I'm not going to use that one. Let's pick something else, something from the cooler, something that's nice and cold. My second favorite one, a Texas Lager. I'm going to use this one. So let's adjust my screen. I will fill up my contraction, and let's do it.
Go for it, buddy.
Oh, man. I'm going to open it up. Can you still see me? Hopefully I don't fall. Whoa. All right, I'm pouring. I'm pouring. Some for you, some for me. A little more for you.
Oh, I love it.
A little more for me. Maybe a little more. Oh, it's cold. I hurt my teeth. All right, Vic.
Here it goes, buddy.
You know what? Let me take off my shirt. I really like my avocado shirt. And I don't want to ruin the shirt. Plus, I'm wearing my second favorite shirt down here. Well, I should say my least favorite shirt. You see that? See what that is? It's for you, Tom. All right, here we go. I'll take off my glasses. And I'm just going to hit this right here and kind of hope for the, oh, mother of pearl, that's cold. It's going to go there.
You are a sport, buddy. You are a sport. I'll give you that.
I got to tell you, my mic got wet, so hopefully you can still hear me. But, gosh, was that refreshing. I needed that. Hey, Vic, you know what? One more thing. I did notice as you were doing the installation that in your server there, you're running Variphy version 12.1.4.
You did.
Our latest one is 12.1.5. Let's have another quick challenge. Yes, another challenge. All right. Can you upgrade that server in less than 5 minutes?
Okay. All right. You know what? Challenge accepted, buddy. Challenge accepted. Now, what's this? What if I make it?
What if you make it? Tell you what, I already told you what two of my favorite beers are.
Okay.
If you make it, I will ship you 6-pack of each. How does that sound?
I love it. I love it. All right, that sounds good. And I tell you what, if I don't make an upgrade, a complete upgrade in 5 minutes, I will go ahead and do the same for you, buddy. I will send you a couple 6-packs of beer. How's that sound?
Let's do it. I love it.
All right. So you know what I'm going to do is to make sure that we have the best, I have the best advantage possible. I'm going to get into my Jumpbox here, which is on our network. It's just going to make transferring the file over to the server a little bit faster. So first thing I'm going to do, let's go ahead and start. I'm going to go to verify.com, and I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. And I have a login. If you don't have a login, don't worry. Reach out to your account manager. Reach out to just our support and get your account number. And you can go ahead and register at verify.com. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my login credentials here. And once I'm in there, I'm going to go straight to product downloads. Pretty straightforward. There's some questions that we like to ask here. As you know, Elaine and Danny had both talked about, a lot of what we build is based on what our customers are looking for and what they're asking for. So we always like to try to update this to get feedback from our customers. But for this particular instance, I'm going to go ahead and just pop right over to the Linux OVA, and I'm going to download this guy. So you'll notice I am not downloading the OVA again. I am just going to go ahead and download the 12.1.5 Linux installer. Now, I'm going to download this guy. Download usually goes pretty quick, so not too bad, 7 seconds. Download's going real fast, so I'm confident that I'm going to be able to make this, Edgar. So now that I've got that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some type of file transfer service. Could be WinSCP, FileZilla. In my case, I'm going to use FileZilla. So for that, now I'm just going to do is 10.20.30.181. Now that is our OVA IP address. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch in the login. All right. And I'm going to punch in the password. This is not the same password that we set up in Call Manager. This is the password that we use to log in and talk to the OVA. This information, again, is documented in our help section there. So I'm going to do quick connect. It's going to ask me about some key information. I'm going to plow right through that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this right into our Verify folder here. And I'm going to drop that in here. So I got my downloads, and we can see there is our guy. Let's make sure that is 12.1.5. And I'm just going to scoot that guy over there. So pretty straightforward process. We can see that guy is transferring very quickly. Next thing I'm going to do, once that guy finishes up, and Edgar, I think you're sending me some beer, buddy. I got a feeling you're going to be sending me some beer. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a session. I could have just as easily gone into my ESXi and just went into a console. Same concept. I'm going to go ahead and open up PuTTY because a lot of times the folks that we're working with, they don't have access to the full console. So I'm just going to use PuTTY to get over there. I'm going to go to the IP address again, the Verify server. I'm going to use port 22. And, you know, right now I'm doing this on the Linux box. If this was a Windows box, all I'm going to do is download this onto the Windows machine and just click and run. And it's a normal installer that people are used to seeing. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and punch in the login, punch in the password. And there we are. So now I just have to navigate over to that directory. And we'll go opt.
So we said if you go over, you send me beer, right?
I will send you beer. I don't think we're going over, buddy. I don't think we're going over.
I meant to ask you a question. So we've been in quarantine for a while now, and I've been growing a beard. Do you think I should keep it?
No, not at all, man. No, not at all. Not at all.
I think shave it off. What should I do with it?
You're trying to distract me, Edgar. I know you are. I know you are.
No,
so I don't think it's going to work, man. I still think I'm going to be able to make this. So right here is again our disclaimer, and this time, you know what, Edgar, I'm going to skip right over it just because I want.
I think we should read it. I'm actually getting a letter from our legal saying we need to read this.
If I want to change ports, I can. All that could be done right here, and off she goes, Edgar. I'm pretty sure I am making your 5-minute challenge. So that is it. So we rolled through the install, and now we just did an upgrade. And that is it from an upgrade perspective. There's really nothing more that
4 minutes, Vic. You won.
So there's really nothing more that needs to be done. So what's happening right now is Verify just went and it upgraded. It is going to go ahead and restart Verify. So keep in mind, if this is a high profile server that cannot have downtime, maybe because you have some CCX wallboards or some CCX dashboards, this may be something that you want to do after hours, but the downtime is minimal. We are probably going to talk about less than 1 minute of downtime. And remember, I'm going to do my :8080. Now, you notice I am doing :8080, Edgar. We do also support HTTPS. We support single sign-on. We support wildcard certs, private certs. So that's all supported within Variphy as well. So if I wanted to go ahead and pop over to 8443, I absolutely could. So essentially what's happening right now in the background is I did jump the gun here because I know I'm running low on time for this 5 minutes. But Variphy is just restarting in the background. Once it does, it's going to pop back up over here. It's going to ask us for a login. And that's it. I mean, Variphy done, installed, and upgraded, all within really probably about 30 minutes. And that's with a little bit of banter. And Edgar, you owe me some beer.
I will study that beer.
So, hey, everybody, I really want to thank everybody for the time. We tried to make this as fun as possible. I hope everybody was able to hang out. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball back to Annie and Tom at the bar, and we're going to give away some more stuff. Thank you guys again for your time.
More prizes. Thanks, everyone.